What's up, Eagles Nation? What's going on, NFL world? How you doing, Division Rivals? This is Stephen Hyder with Gate City Sports Channel. The sports channel where the cerebral NFL fan comes for about 10 minutes of daily content. All right, y'all. Today's topic, we're going to talk about the schedule, right? I'm not going to give really bold predictions here, guys, just because it's entirely too early in the process to know who's good and who's bad right now. Like every team in this NFC East, conference here, division, has its own set of concerns, and the Eagles, they got their own here, guys. I mean, I need to know who's starting opposite of Slay. Like, we got to see some of these linebackers in action. This defense in general is going through a lot of transition, a lot of change. I'm optimistic. I have hope that this coaching staff we're putting together is very good at developing players, and we're going to see some guys that we thought might have been bust that might actually surprise us and see that this might have been an element of not only play calling and not only scheme, but also coaching in general. So I just want to stick with that. But the first thing I'm going to jump into here, guys, is just kind of breaking down where the games are. I see two preseason games listed. I wouldn't be shocked if there's a third. But Pittsburgh, August 12th, New England, August 19th. Very good opponents. I like both of those kind of setups here to get a team ready. I just wish that they were going to do two games. Then why not do like an August 12th, a break on August 19th, and then follow that up with, August 26th or so to have, that third game followed by a week to kind of get your roster together for the final shaping of where it's going to be 53, 55, or 60-man active roster. I've heard all three of those stated, guys. I mean, that would be my only kind of pick here about the way they have this preseason scheduled. I don't mind two games at all. I think it adds a little intrigue, but I from a coaching perspective, the coach in me, I personally would like to see some breaks in between games to continue training camp, to continue the practices, and call, not training camp, but call it whatever you want to. Call it the preseason hype or whatever. But give me a chance to assess what I'm seeing in there, right? We saw these guys on film, what they did. Now let me see them in a practice situation repeating it or correcting it, or you get what I'm saying. The coach in me would like to see a little bit more done there. All right, guys. So September, we have 3 games in September. 2 out of the 3 are on the road. Our first home game is going to be against the 49ers on September 19th. And of course, you guys know at this time we're opening up at Atlanta. Look, I think Atlanta's completely beatable, but I'm not going to sit here and act like just because the Eagles didn't pick Kyle Pitts that that's not a really good selection for them. But to be fair to the situation, guys, like we don't, Atlanta's having its own struggles with its own offensive personnel. And I really like their coaching staff there, guys. I was pretty high on their coaching staff, to be quite honest. But in saying that, guys, like the simple fact is we don't know how they're going to distribute the ball, and we don't even know if Julio Jones is still going to be on that football team. Like there's been some rumors circulating around there. We have to kind of see how that works its way out, guys. The 49ers game, look, they're coming to the East Coast. They have to play in Philly on opening weekend. Look, I think San Francisco has a lot of things it has to answer for. I think this is the game or the team that people might be overhyping who, like one of the first kind of stories, because they just lost a crap ton of coaching, right? They've lost a pretty important piece of their offense, their passing game coordinator, who's now going to be the offensive coordinator in New York for the Jets. And then you lost at least two defensive people I can think of in D'Amico Ryans, and then you lost, Robert Saleh there. So, I mean, I don't know, guys. I mean, I still think the 49ers, I think, early in the season, yes, you're getting back adequate quarterback play, even though, like, Jimmy Garoppolo is nothing to write home about. He's certainly better than what they had on the roster last year, but I definitely think that's a game that's winnable. Philly at Dallas. Hey, this is a Monday night game, so this is one of the only couple, kind of primetime games we have this year. But Philly at Dallas, September 27th, Monday night game. Hey, this is going to be interesting, guys. I mean, that's an interesting game in Dallas early in the year. Really our only divisional opponent early in the year. Everyone else is pretty much December and January, guys. So, interesting. Interesting way to start off September. In October, we have a home game on October 3rd against Kansas City. If you're going to play Kansas City, I'd rather have them at home, but it's not like Andy Reid's not going to be familiar. Philly versus Carolina, road trip there. And then we turn around on a shortened week, and we have the Bucs at home. At least it is at home. And, of course, the Bucs will be coming off a shortened week too. But to me, I'm going to get to that game in a second, but there's some things about it. Then we go on the road against Las Vegas and against Detroit to end October. I think that stretch between October 14th through the 31st could be, the more difficult area, the more difficult stretch that we're going to play. Because Carolina, I know people are all over the place. I mean, some people think Sam Darnold's going to be a good quarterback. Some people don't. Look, I just know that I've got guys I've talked to that are close to Sam Darnold that played with him at USC and Max Brown, and they think that he was just misutilized with the Jets and in Carolina's system. He's going to be better than people think. I'm more of the people who's like, okay, let's just chill out and we'll see how it goes. I'm not going to make any bold predictions, but Carolina's lost some pieces of its offense too, so we'll have to see how that kind of all fits. Although I still think it's got a good enough offense if you can find adequate quarterback play and good offensive line play. I think it's the two things for them they got to worry about. I will say that going from October 10th, an away game against Carolina, which I'm hoping to be at, guys, to a Thursday night game at home versus the Bucs that's tough, man. And I'm going to call that probably our most challenging game of the year because it's shortened. It's coming off of a road game, although it's not far travel. It's not coming from the West Coast. But then we're turning around and we're playing the Bucs, who, you got to look at it this way, guys. This is the first time that our coaching staff, our head coach, is going to be in that role coming off of a shortened week on a primetime game, Thursday night, the second primetime game, right? Same thing for our defensive coordinator, right? I guess our offensive coordinator, you can make the argument he's had some experience with the Chargers, so maybe it's not quite as new for him, but there's a lot of unanswered questions here, right? This is going to be, I believe, the first time that we're going to see Jalen Hurts playing on a shortened week as a starting quarterback. Like, to me, that's going to be a difficult game. It doesn't mean that I think the opponent is the greatest opponent we're going to necessarily play in the 2021 season, but I think the circumstances add a lot of intrigue and can cause a lot of confusion. So I'm going to go with that one being the toughest game we have on this schedule. And then going and playing in Las Vegas at 4 o'clock game late in October. Hey, at least you're going to play in a warm weather climate area in late in October. Like, it'd be an entertaining game. Like, Jacobs, our running back, if he's healthy, is going to be an interesting matchup to see the Eagles try to shut that down. I mean, I still think we have a shot to win that one on the road, but I'm going to be honest with you. Going from Carolina, then at home to the Bucs, then traveling out to the West Coast, and then we go late in October all the way up to Detroit, which is going to be a cold weather game. It's not that we're not used to cold weather games, but I mean, look, Detroit's going to have that physical mentality ending out October, and we're going to get a chance to see this team face a team that wants to get physical with you. So that'd be the first time we really get to see probably the what we call the back seven. Let's talk about the front seven of the defense, really step up and play a team that wants to get after you outside of maybe the 49ers, who kind of have that similar philosophy. You can even argue that Carolina kind of, they do theirs with a little bit more misdirection, but they will try to get physical. But that's the first one, like it's going to be a complete identity of the team. Heading into November, guys, we have 5 games in November, and this is the part that really bothers me about our schedule, is that we're going a long, long time without a bye. I don't think we get our bye week until the week of December 17th, which is like week 14. I think that's an incredibly difficult ask for a young football team. This is a very young football team that's, boy, we're hanging out there for a long time before we get a break from the action here. But look, in November, we're playing 2 home games. We have 2 away games. We get the Chargers at home, which I think is a good slate for us, 4 o'clock game. That's going to be a really good game. I'm really excited to see, Justin Herbert in person, see what that's made up of. 2 young, competitive offenses. They got a star out there at wide receiver, a kid that's from Greensboro, by the way. So I'm going to have intrigue of watching that game. And then we probably play what I'm going to consider to be one of the toughest away games, depending on who the quarterback is. If it's Drew Lock, I think we stand a shot. But if Denver goes out and gets an adequate quarterback, that Philly versus Denver game, playing in Denver, in the middle part of November, so it's going to be cold. You're going to be up there high in the altitude. So, breathing's going to be different for a young football team. That's a really big test, in my opinion. Like, that's going to be an intriguing game to me to watch. But what I will say about this game is it starts a really favorable back end of the schedule. And I think this is where the Eagles could get rolling. And we might surprise a few people because now you got a young team that's not leaving home very far. So we're at home versus New Orleans. I think we have a great shot at beating New Orleans. I'm not saying that, just write it in, Eagles are beating New Orleans. But look, I mean, we saw them at a pretty high level last season without Drew Brees, and they're going without Drew Brees again this year. I don't think there's a lot that separates us, to be honest. Kamara's a great player for them. Of course, Michael Thomas is a great player, but still, I think we're favorable at home there. Then we go on the road against the Giants on November 28th, which is a 1 o'clock game. Meadowlands, this is right down the road, guys. This is a bus ride away. So we got home, and we're in the Meadowlands back-to-back games, so on the 28th of November, and then we turn around on December 5th, right before our bye week, and we play in the Meadowlands again against the Jets. I don't know what to make of the Jets. I love their coaching staff. I still think that, I'm a big fan of Zach Wilson. I think Zach Wilson's actually going to be pretty good in the league, but I'm not too sure Zach Wilson has adequate weapons yet with the Jets. I still think that team's an offensive team work in progress. So I'm not thinking that we can't go on the road and win that game. And I know it's back-to-back road games, but it's back-to-back road games that's right down the street from Philadelphia. Like, to me, that's very favorable. Then we get our bye week. And then we have back-to-back home games against Washington and the Giants. So we get Washington at home December 19th, which is that flex game that might be a Saturday game if there's some intrigue around the game. And then we have the Giants on December 26th, so the day after Christmas, we get the Giants. I think that's going to be a really big game in Philly. I think they're going to hype that game up, just like they're going to hype the first game up on November 28th. So then we finish out our season kind of going to D.C. to play the Washington football team for the second time on January 2nd, and then at home versus Dallas on January 9th. Cold weather game. Dallas has got to come into the blistering cold of Philadelphia in January. I like our chances. I know that blistering cold is probably a little bit of an overstretch, but compared to Dallas, blistering cold, that's what I'm going with. All right. I like the way this schedule stacks itself late, right? With at home, the Meadowlands twice, at home twice, only going to DC and then finishing back in Philly. Like, man, the last, how many games is that, guys? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. The last 7 games of the season are very favorable. And we have the bye week before we go into that stretch to get healthy. So I personally like this schedule. You know, I definitely think there are some tough stretches. Like I said, I think that shortened week versus the Bucks at home, you know, at least it's at home, but that's tough for a young coaching staff, guys, for all the reasons I named, right? You know, going in and have to play out in Vegas and then bouncing into Detroit. I can see October with this 5 games. And then, you know, you look at that, only 2 of those games are at home, and one of those games is on a shortened week at home. Like, I think October could be pretty rough, and it might look a little dim and grim by the end of October, but then, you know, you get past the mid part of November and you have a really good home slate, a very good travel schedule to where, hey, man, we're sleeping in our own beds. All right, guys, that's what I think about this. Leave your comments down below. What do you think about the schedule, guys? Don't forget, if you want to support the channel, you can buy me a cup of coffee. Link is in the description below. Don't forget to like and comment on the video. It's what spikes the algorithm, gets it suggested to other people. And last but not least, guys, I'd love to add you to the community, but in order to do that, I need you to hit that subscribe button, guys. All right, y'all. I appreciate y'all so much, and I will see you guys on the next video.